What's up guys, Delzinski here, and what I want to talk about today on the Lowdown is Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff and their time in TNA, and my views and my thoughts on whether or not Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff have been best for business over the past 5 years for TNA. Now, Dixie Carter had her recent article in Sports Illustrated where she did touch on this topic, and she does go on to say that yes, Hulk Hogan was most definitely worth signing to TNA because he opened numerous doors for TNA Impact Wrestling, and as a brand and as a franchise and as a name in the wrestling business, there is no one bigger than Hulk Hogan, and I would have to agree 100% on that. What I don't agree with Dixie Carter is over the years how Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff have been utilised. Because I feel that behind the scenes they may have been able to open doors, but also behind the scenes they were given a lot more access than they really needed. And what I mean by that is basically it's felt like over the past 5 years that Dixie Carter, when these guys came in, she just literally handed over the keys and let them have access to the building to run wild. And that, in history, has always proved to be a bad business move. WCW has proved that. Now for me, if I was in charge of TNA, and before I do mention this, I'd just like to say, this is not me hating on Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff, because when they came over here for Impact Wrestling 2 years ago, the most exciting point of going to see TNA was seeing Hulk Hogan, the living legend, live in the flesh. That, for me, was a massive moment to get to see somebody who I've idolised over the years, quite possibly the biggest name in the wrestling business here in the UK in a wrestling ring. It was fantastic. It was immense. And as I say, Hulk Hogan sells tickets. So it is not me ranting about Hogan and Bischoff, but it is just my opinion of what I think TNA should have potentially done with Hogan and Bischoff. So as I say, Hulk Hogan, I would have utilised him slightly different. Behind the scenes, I would have literally had him just promoting my company, using his name to promote the business of TNA, and also working internationally and in the US to gain new TV deals, new sponsors, all because Hulk Hogan as a brand can do that for TNA. Eric Bischoff, I would have had him as a TV character and a small bit of influence in terms of storylines, but not giving him full creative control, as I feel that he has been given this over the years. And we only have to look back at some of the storylines to sort of see that that has happened. Hulk Hogan on TV would have been completely different for me. He would have been a general manager, but he would not have been involved in every single major storyline like he has done over the past 5 years. He's been involved in angles where he's even wrestled, and for me, that was not what he should have been doing. That was not best for business, as Triple H would say. If Hulk Hogan was the GM, for me, I would have cast your minds back to the day that they had the six-sided ring. I would cast your mind back to the day when we had match types like the King of the Mountain. We had Ultimate X. And I would also cast your mind back to the fact that we had a flourishing X division. All of this was right around the time when Hulk Hogan came in to TNA. And instead, they changed things like removed the six-sided ring. And we saw the X division pretty much crumble under this regime. But if I had Hulk Hogan as my GM, I would have used him to promote all of these tools. I would have had him promoting the X division, saying that the smaller guys are best for business. It's not that jaded thought process that you have to have big guys as your top talent. TNA here, it's different. It's not like WWE. We are an alternative to WWE. We are not trying to be the same product. And it's felt like over the past 5 years that that is what has happened. TNA have become too much looking up towards WWE, even in the fact that they use ex-WWE guys. That wasn't necessary. They had the talent there at the time. So for me, Hulk Hogan would have been used to put over these guys, elevate these superstars, get them to a level where they can be top wrestlers, make the X Division look like it actually is worth something and it is actually prestigious to be the X Division champion. Utilise that tag team division that was so good back in the day. None of this was done. It was all more focused on Hulk Hogan as a brand being the face of TNA on and off screen. And this is so proven when we look at storylines. Let's cast our minds back. Now, I'm going to have to touch on Eric Bischoff here because he plays a major part as well. Eric Bischoff, within the wrestling business, is fantastic at generating hype. That is something he's always done. He's fantastic at generating hype in the essence that he uses takeover storylines, and the biggest one he's ever done was the NWO. Now when the NWO came in, it was fresh, it was new, it was something that had never been seen before, and it was exciting. But with generating hype, you also need to know how to kill hype, and that is something that Eric Bischoff has never been able to do. The NWO kept acquiring new and more members, and eventually it superseded WCW. Eric Bischoff basically built a monster, didn't know how to stop it, it got out of control, and subsequently WCW crumbled along with the New World Order. Fast forward to when Eric Bischoff arrived with Hulk Hogan to TNA, they decided to go down the route of bringing in a faction called Immortal. Again, the hype was built, it was exciting to begin with, but as per most Eric Bischoff storylines, he was unable to know when to stop. And subsequently, again, this storyline crumbled underneath Eric Bischoff's fingertips because he didn't know how to kill it off. So then we bring it up right up to date with the Aces and Eights, a pretty much rip-off of the Sons of Anarchy, but it was billed in quite a nice way. These guys were coming in to take over, again, a takeover storyline, but they were coming in to take over TNA, and the whole hype was around was who was under each and every mask. Well, that was great to begin with, but as the masks started coming off and we got to see that these guys aren't exactly main eventers, these guys aren't exactly big names within the industry, it all became a bit lame. And this storyline has dragged on for almost a year. It gets to the stage where you need to say enough is enough, but Eric couldn't do it. He couldn't stop it. It got out of control, and that has brought us to where we are today. With an Aces and Eights, which is pretty much depleted, and it's a completely different concept from what the original one was. When the Aces and Eights came in, they wanted to take over TNA. Now they're just active members of the roster. So you can see it doesn't work. This is just another example of Eric Bischoff not knowing when to pull the plug on a storyline and say enough is enough and it's time to stop. He just doesn't know how to call it a day with one of his storylines. And ultimately, I would say that this is what you get when you let two guys have control and have so much power and influence on your business. Because at the end of the day, it's Dixie Carter's company. She should be calling the shots, not these two. And I would say a great example is if you have a look at WWE, and when Hulk Hogan works for WWE, and when he maybe possibly works for them again in the future with Triple H, Triple H and Vince McMahon will never let Hulk Hogan run riot. Triple H and Vince McMahon will run their company as they see fit, and Hulk Hogan will have to fit in with the way that Triple H and Vince McMahon want him to work. He will not be able to book himself in every single storyline on Raw and SmackDown. He will not have that control, that power, because at the end of the day, Triple H and Vince McMahon know that WWE is the business, not Hulk Hogan. And that's what Dixie Carter has sometimes failed to notice with her Impact product. She has got too confused with the fact that Hulk Hogan is not the be-all and end-all of Impact Wrestling. But I do feel that now, because they've decided not to re-sign Hulk Hogan, they have seen the light and they have decided that they are going to have to go back and focus on their talent that brought them to the table in the first place. One thing it does show is potentially the naivety of Dixie Carter in business in terms of wrestling. She should have known from previous history that Eric Bischoff and Hulk Hogan have had their mistakes. WCW is the example. But she let them do what they want, and this is what she's got today. So they're going to have to do some heavy backtracking to fix the issues that they have at the moment. So guys, let me know what you think of the topic of Bischoff and Hogan and what you think their 5-year stint in TNA has really brought to the company. Do you think they've flourished? Do you think they've done well by going into the mainstream? Or do you think that that product should have stayed how it was before with the 6-sided ring, the flourish in X Division, and also unique match types and unique selling points which feels like have been lost over the 5 years? Let me know what you think via the comments box below. As per usual guys, please rate, comment and subscribe. This is Delzinski, signing out.